friends. Welcome back to File New. My name is Ryan Selvy. I'm a motion designer artist in Brooklyn, New York. It's good to be back every Wednesday here at this time, same place, here on Adobe Live. Thanks to tuning in both on YouTube and on Behance. Hello to Oliver, Wade, and Robert over on YouTube, and Peter, Bruce, who else am I seeing? Jack, Bliss, Franco, all the usual here over on Behance as well. Penny Doodles and Desiree also in YouTube. Thank you guys for being here. If this is your first time here, thanks for being here. This is a show that's all about tech news, designer news, creator news, and everything in between. The world's constantly changing, and there's always new updates and new stories, so we're trying to cover everything as it's coming at 100 miles per hour and make sense of it all. And Oliver says, you say the same time, but you're an hour earlier for me. Yes, that is true. We did have some daylight savings time. I'm not handling it well. You know, I'm staying up until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., but you know, eventually it should technically kind of phase itself out. But we have a few different segments. We have news segments. We have fonts of the week. We have resources, rebrands, and spotlight. So we're here for about an hour or so. Come in, tune in. Hello, lurk as you come and go. Hello to Jana as well. And yeah, Desiree first time and excited. All right, well then I'm not going to keep you waiting. Let's hop on into some news. I always like to start with Adobe News when I can because it is an Adobe Live show after all. Adobe Max is one of the biggest conferences each year. There's also the one that's in the US, and then there's one in London. And I don't know if you guys are familiar or aware with it, but turns out that London's Adobe Max is coming up. It's just around the corner. We've got a lot of stuff coming up about Adobe Max and Adobe London. It is April 23rd, I believe. Yes. And it is the Creativity Conference. It's got a lot of people. It's both virtual and physical. It is available to everyone. And there's lots of great opening keynote speakers. You can go to the website on Adobe and you can find out all the different in-person sessions as well as Adobe Live sessions. For Adobe Live, you know, we're going to have first takes from Max London. There should be fireside chats. There is print-ready designs for your business. James Barnard's doing tips for using AI and video to speed up your workflow. Lots to take out of it. You can scroll through and see all the different experts and innovators. You have your regulars, you know. What's up, homies? Michael Fugoso. We have Paul Tranny, Terry White, Claudie. There are all the superstars and also lots of cool new updates. There's also NAB coming up soon, which Adobe will also have a presence at. And just a lot of cool, exciting updates. I always love this time of year because there's constant updates and big changes in the creative world and the technology world. And make sure you stick around on File New because as they're coming up, we will be letting you guys know what's happening and what's going on. I like how Oliver is saying, I'm aware of London in the Behance chat. Also, Winter Powell is joining the YouTube chat. Hello, lovely people. Hello, good to have you here. Our first news story that is non-Adobe is a surf. We talked about it a little bit ago. Basically, it's this new way of approaching and figuring out how to navigate the new social web. The social web is a new concept in its current form because we had social networking, but this is the first time that we're kind of really starting to approach protocols. And this is reporting coming from Sarah Perez at TechCrunch. It says, Open Social Web Browser Surf integrates with Blue Sky in latest beta. And just reading from directly the article right at the beginning, it says, Surf, the new app from Flipboard, if you're familiar with Flipboard, is expanding its support for Blue Sky's social network. On Monday, the company announced a new version of its beta software dubbed Blue Wave, which allows users to log into the app using their Blue Sky credentials and then see all their Blue Sky feeds in Surf, including their following feed, their Discover feed, and any other custom feeds they've pinned in the Blue Sky app. The new integration will also allow users to access other Blue Sky sources when building their own custom feeds, like starter packs, which are lists of recommended followers that people build to help new users find connections. And there's other Blue Sky sources like lists and custom feeds also available. And so this is a way of kind of bringing everything into one spot to then be able to consume the web and have control over it and have control over your algorithm. I'm a big advocate of Blue Sky. I like it a lot. I use it myself. Adobe Live has a Blue Sky that I'm trying to keep updated, but I sometimes forget, so sorry. Also, people are like tagging me as if, not me, they're tagging the Adobe Live account just for Adobe support, and I'm like, I'm not qualified for this. But I am trying to get out there. I'm trying to get those updates for you guys so that you know when shows are going live and things that you can tune into. There's also a starter pack on Blue Sky .com, Blue Sky, what is it? bsky.app/Adobe Live, and there's a starter pack of all the different live streamers that you can go and you can follow them on Blue Sky as well. But this is exciting. It is, once again, another way that we're kind of getting farther away from the idea of all of our socials living on one platform. This is kind of accessing it through a different place and having everything come together as one. So as creators, just kind of being aware that maybe the thing that you're posting isn't going to necessarily be consumed on the platform that you are posting it on. Up until this point, a lot of times you're creating things and it's mostly going to stay on the platform. Maybe someone will screenshot it or save it to their computer and upload it somewhere else. But up until this point, it was like if you post on Reddit, it's going to be consumed on Reddit. If you post on Instagram, it's going to be on Instagram. There are these new apps, and the fact that the protocols can kind of be reformatted, that it can be digested and discovered elsewhere, which is exciting, but also just something to also always keep aware as you are posting and creating new content. Keeping the news towards mobile, because we were also just talking about mobile, there is an update that apparently iOS 19 is going to have a major redesign. The iOS 18 is the current one that is out right now that looks pretty similar. The last gigantic overhaul that they really had with the iOS system was when they went flat. If you guys remember from 2013 maybe, when we went from kind of that style where everything looked like, it's called skeuomorphism. It's when everything kind of looked like kind of real. It's when like the YouTube app was a literal old looking TV. And then now it's switched to very flat design. It will be interesting because Apple is taking into account the presence, and they're trying to have a focus on AI and AI assistance. It'll be interesting to see how that is reflected in the new iOS update. They have not formally announced it yet, but this is something that's kind of coming, and it's something that is normally to be expected in their June conference. If you look to the way that they designed spatial design for the Apple Vision Pro, you will see that there were subtle changes. They want to get simpler. They kind of are adapting and evolving as humans are also adapting and evolving. This is something that we see a lot with understanding of technology or use cases. If you look at how TV and movies looked back in the middle of the 19th century, the middle of the 20th century, that always trips me up. Why? I get it, but it also drives me nuts. I hate that the 1900s are the 20th century. But if you look in the middle of the 1900s, there are certain things that camera operators and directors felt like they needed to explain to the viewers because the screens and narrative structure of creating storytelling on screen was still relatively new and was referencing things like theatrical experiences. Then as we consumed more content as a society universally, there were things that could start happening where you can start to break barriers and break rules and start to assume that the person understands what's going on. We've also seen this with the web. If you look at websites from the early 2000s, it's not only limited by the technology, but it's also limited by people's understanding of how they interact with the technologies. And it's interesting to see these operating systems, both Apple and Android's OS, kind of evolve and change and reflect the changes that are happening with us and how we're interacting with technology. So when they say revamp, I am interested to see how much of a visual thing it takes, but I'm also interested to see how the organizational structure of this operating system is also updated, because Vision OS had to be very bare bones because you had to control it with your eyes. And I think through that, maybe they're learning that the things that you look at can be more simplified because people can figure it out just by looking at it. Oliver's saying, wasn't iOS supposed to look different? I'm sure they made a big deal about some appearance changes for it, and it looks the same. Yes, I feel like they do tend to say, like, this is our biggest revamp ever, but I think the understanding for this one is that it's going to get more influence and attention from things like Vision OS. Just like anything else, they've also been rumored to have a flip phone camera coming out, this year for 10 years now. So everything here is taken with a grain of salt, but do your own research, check it out, make your own inferences, and come June, I guess we'll figure out how it actually looks. But also interesting to see. Next up, more Blue Sky news, and this is exciting for all video creators, especially with TikTok drama always going on. App version 1.99 is now rolling out. This is coming from the original Blue Sky app. Hey, Alyssa. With every update, we're aiming to make the internet less toxic, they said, more fun, and more in your control. One of the biggest updates here, though, is now that Blue Sky supports videos up to 3 minutes long. You guys might remember that a few weeks ago on Blue Sky, they kind of created a new feed or format for people to kind of focus on video within the Blue Sky ecosystem. They were short and kind of limited to one minute. And there were some apps that kind of came off of that diaspora and started creating TikTok clones in Blue Sky's ecosystem. Looks like they're continuing to have a focus on video and being able to really upload high definition versions. Now you can upload up to 3 minutes of video, and a separate request inbox for DMs from unknown users to have a little bit more control over your privacy and having a less toxic online environment. And you can also mute accounts more quickly, they say. There's an improved moderation reporting flow. There's better tablet-sized layouts on web, and there's better error reporting during sign-up. Wait, saying cheap chat classy. I do know Alyssa Frank, so there's no no offense taken there. Also, I'll take Streamy Hunk. Yeah, I'll take it. It's classy for me. Talking about video, also hello to Apurva over on Behance. TikTok has a really new, interesting way to kind of approach and address minors and their interaction with the app in post hours. There are the new announcement. There's a new announcement that says that apparently after 10 p.m., I believe, on TikTok, there's going to be entering a wind down phase. This is coming from reporting from The Verge. I'm Emma Roth, and it says that if a teen under 16 is still using the app after 10 p.m., TikTok will interrupt their feed with a full screen wind down reminder, which will play calming music to help teens relax and be mindful of the time. Which I think is hilarious and wonderful, and also fascinating, and I'm curious to see how that works out. This is one of the first times that we've seen an app really kind of head-on address the minors situation. We've had some, topics about Instagram and what have you, but the idea of kind of like back in the day of TV broadcasting where they would turn off and play the national anthem and then it would just go blank. It's kind of interesting to see the social platforms maybe also starting to do that, but with age requirements. I'm always down for mindfulness. I love to meditate. I would like if I could even include this in my own kind of bop, but we'll see how this goes. I'm interested to see where it rolls out and how the kids react. But very interesting, and I can't say that I've seen any other service do it, so we'll see as they stick around. We were talking a little bit about Adobe Max earlier in the show. One of the things that is really exciting for Adobe right now is Adobe Firefly. If you guys saw any of my streams from, I think, 3 weeks ago, when I was out in San Francisco, you guys were able to see that I was really focusing a bit on the text to video model. I do have it here, and I was wondering if you guys wanted to maybe create a quick text to video that we could just check out while we're working. We can say something. What if we do teenager winding down after a long day of scrolling on their mobile device, taking time to meditate in a serene environment, and being mindful of well-being. You can always also introduce first frames and last frames, which is cool. If you want to make it fully loop, you can do the first frame and the last frame, and then it'll pop up. But I said we just kind of start with that. We can go, and what if we do an extreme close-up? I'm going to try to make this as cursed as possible. No, I shouldn't. I should make it nice and normal, right? We don't really need to focus on any of the motion, but we totally can if we wanted to. And I'm going to go hit generate. And while it's doing that, we can go talk a little bit about some of our other stories, and then we'll come back and check in on the video after it is done doing its thing. For those of you in New York City, like myself, I'm very excited and pleased to say that I saw an update that Meow Wolf is actually creating a immersive experience based in Manhattan. It looks like they are basing their new spot off of a pier in Manhattan. I think it's like Pier 15 or something. I have to pull up the news article and see exactly what it is. But if you're not familiar with Meow Wolf, it is this really cool collection of artists that create immersive experiences where you kind of go. In Vegas, they have a gigantic supermarket with a bunch of fake products. And in Colorado, it's kind of like a growy plant area that feels like kind of alien plant-like. They really like adapted to each different place. They have it in Las Vegas, Grapevine, Texas, Houston, Denver, and Santa Fe, New Mexico. And there's another exhibition centered around the forgotten sad side of Hollywood that's slated to open in Los Angeles next year. And then New York is expected to open sometime after that, it says. This is coming from Fast Company's blog from Grace Snelling, and it says Meow Wolf is bringing its immersive art experience to New York City, Pier 17, so kind of low on the side, and I'm very excited about it. I love Meow Wolf. I love immersive art, and it's something to go get inspiration. A Purvis saying, didn't they call it psychedelic in the 1990s? You know what? Immersive art can be psychedelic. And it can also be non-psychedelic. Normally with Meow Wolf, I think it always ends up being psychedelic, which I love. It's good. I love black lights. I love, trippy stuff. Big fan. Now, also, while we are talking about stuff, there are a lot of conversations that we can probably have while we're not streaming. And I'm very proud and excited to announce that Adobe Live has updated and announced an Adobe Live server. As you can see, it's at like 82 members right now. It's brand frickin' new. But in it, there is a file new channel where we will always be able to post links, have conversations. But what's really exciting is just when you go and you navigate to it, there is a bunch of spots where it's just the current show lineup. I feel like a lot of times you get into other Discords and there is nothing kind of guiding you through the channel system. On this one, we're just going to keep it to current shows. So you can go in and you can just easily find file new. And then you can kind of have conversations or you can switch out in between. It has updates and you can control your notifications as far as like what shows you want. If you want to be notified for everything, if you want to be notified for just some stuff. And just really kind of taking it slow, being fine with pivoting. Would love to have you guys in there. Love that conversation. It's just kind of to have a place where things exist, not while we're, just kind of only streaming and then kind of disappear into the nether. So Penneedle says, Adobe Live Server, yay. And Bruce says, whoop, whoop. So thank you guys. Appreciate that. Speaking of other shows, though, Paco Siller had his Photo Talk 3rd episode this most recent week. And they did a really cool thing where Lightroom allows you to create a photo and then remix it and have people also kind of submit their own remixes. So Paco has a bi-weekly show on Tuesdays, and that means that his next show is going to be on the 25th of March. So not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. And he is asking for people to submit their photo remix submissions to be featured on the show. It says submit an edit of your photo for a chance to be featured on Photo Talk's next episode and have other community members remix it. The next episode being Tuesday, March 25th. I had a really good time with it. I'm not too familiar with Lightroom, but it was cool to pop up and just kind of see the different things that we could make. I'm going to go ahead and on the Discord, I can pull up and show you guys some of the ones that were created. He has this link to have this backpacking in Sierra Nevada. And then a bunch of people went and they started posting all the different remix ways to take the same picture and then turn it into something new, which was fun. And then you can also even see the breakdown when you pop into the links to see what filters they did, what settings they did. And it was super easy. And you can even access Lightroom through the web version and it still works, which is really nice. But that's adobe.ly/41 capital S, capital L, lowercase c, lowercase t, 8. And you can submit it for your submission and check it out. Thank you, Wade, for putting the link also in the chat. Robert says, new in Discord, you don't need to jump out to your browser for looking at images and videos when you click on them. Yes, very nice. You can all just stay in app and doesn't have to go out. Peter says remixes are great. Yes, Peter had one of the remixes, actually 2 of the remixes, I believe, for the photo remix submission. Also on Adobe Live, we have a nice message from our boys at the Motion City Motion City Hotline. That's funny. Motion Design Hotline. So take it away, Kyle.
Hey folks, Kyle here from Motion Design Hotline, and on today's show, Evan and I have split up. Colored channels, of course. We're diving into a couple different examples like this. Evan showing you some cool chromatic aberration where you're splitting up the RGB channels. And then I'm round tripping through Photoshop using a CMYK process to approximate printing, but bringing it back into After Effects. Our show already happened, so you can catch it on the rewatch. You can see old episodes at motiondesignhotline.com, or you can catch us most Wednesdays here on Adobe Live.
To Apurva's note earlier, didn't they call it psychedelic? If you're looking for psychedelic, Motion Design Hotline this week on Split Happens, definitely psychedelic. Looks like, you're having a bad time or having a really good time. Who knows? But Penny Doodle says the emo band Motion City soundtrack. Yes, that's what, honestly, it came from, because I used to love them. I mean, I still do. They're still good, but I don't listen to them as much as I do. Elisandra's in the chat. Welcome to the chat, Elisandra. Thanks for being over on YouTube. We will hopefully get a lot more YouTube activity coming up in just a second, because we'll be going into our Font of the Week, where you guys will be voting on the Font of the Week, but we're not quite there yet. We still have some more Adobe Live stuff to go through real quick. There is a really cool show by Jacob Paris called Art Maxing, and he is kind of figuring out the show. He's about like 10 episodes in or so, maybe like 8. And this week he introduced a new section, Command Z, and basically he is going to be quizzing people that he has on every single week with a different command key, and then seeing if they understand what it is actually for, and they get points if they do. And this week he did Shift Control Right Bracket. And I just wanted to kind of also reflect it to you guys as well, if you guys know what Shift Control Right Bracket does. Because I use it all the time, actually. So when he put it up, I'm like, that's an easy one. But then I was kind of surprised to see how people went along with it. But you can check out that whole thing. It's Art Maxing. He had Kid Nichols on this week, which was really fun. She had this really beautiful cartoon style with these little bugs and this plant. And it's a really fun, like, hour-long show where he gives out points, kind of whose line is it anyway style. But you get, as the audience, you get to see what the criteria is, and then if she blindly does the things that he's doing, then she gets points. And it's a fun way to kind of just have an interactive game show style. And then Wade's here, I believe. I wanted to just real quick call out his show, which is Roller Troll, and it's on Twitch. He did it on Monday. He created this beautiful, beautiful dragon in only 2 hours. But a lot of this here is all dictated by both the dice and by the chat. And so you can see here that it just started as a dragon, and he began rolling a physical dice that he has this cool fog machine that he then goes and he kind of rolls it out. And then based on what he gets, it then gives him 2 options. So it'll have, like, he'll roll a 13 and it'll say get a grip, 1d4, or sidecar. So then the chat votes on sidecar. And so that's where this little sidecar filled with flowers is. He's got landing gear was picked off of rolling 12. It was fun if 14 is rolled, and that was the first one that was rolled for delivery service. When he then rolled 8, he had to do this brand breakout, and he had to come out with the branding really quickly for the actual dragon, which was fun. And it was just a really good time, and I had such an amazing time. He's on live for 2 hours, and it's on Mondays. He also has a Roll or Troll channel over here on Discord where you can check out the VODs. You can look at previous ones. This is the one before it that had a bunch of different runs. You can see kind of like what worked out. You can see the different results of how many people voted for what, and just continue to kind of have that conversation, which was really nice. So if you haven't had a chance, check out the replay. They're fun even in replays, and it's called Roller Troll, and that is one of the ones that is on Twitch, even though this stream is only on Twitch and on Behance. And then since we have given it some time, let's take a look quickly at the teenager winding down after a day scrolling on their mobile device, taking time to meditate in a serene environment, and being mindful and well-being. So look at that. It looks like he's a little bit locked in, though, a bit to his phone still as he's meditating. But that said, something I'd like to call out, if we watch it, is that his fingers are actually pretty good. And, I was saying the other day that I mostly will use this kind of feature and technology to maybe fill in a spot when I don't have as much space to perhaps do like a full B-roll or something. But Penny says maybe his eyes are closed. LOL, not looking down. You know what? He's doing his thing. All right. Bruce says it's Oliver. Yes, guys. Oliver right here in the flesh, winding down after a long day of being on his phone. But that's all kind of the news and updates that we have for you guys right now, as far as news stories go. But don't leave anywhere yet. We still have plenty of show left for you. And we have our next segment up, which I believe is Font of the Week. So, Font of the Week, we like to pick out 3 fonts from the Adobe Fonts library and then have you guys vote on which one you think should be the Font of the Week. This first one here is called Puntino. It is a dotted script typeface by Arne Freytag. I have a love-hate relationship with this because it's very pretty scripting and it's cool that it doesn't look like anything else. The issue that I have with it, though, is that it gives me the EBGBs because it's that thing where there's a bunch of holes all next to each other. So I was a little bit hesitant about picking this one out. That said, I think in kind of use case, it can be very, very pretty. And I think that it has a chance to at least be a little bit, recognized and figured out. It could maybe work really well with a halftone design or maybe something that deals with like chainmail and you want to kind of replicate that. Fontador itself, which is the font studio, the Type Foundry, is based in Hamburg. And it is just a fun, weird collection of different typefaces and has that scripting. And it kind of has like a almost Avenger game like snap vibe. Winter is saying it is hard to read, which I would love to know what you guys think of legibility. We always like to go in here and then also test it out on File New. So let's do regular here. This might be particularly hard to read because some of our branding has dots in it. But this obviously would never, ever, never be a body copy font. This would definitely have to be something that is more of a header or something. It looks like they have dots down here as their body copy here, but it's not scripted. I feel like the scripting probably is what makes it a little bit more hard to read. But I think that is a good point and something to always kind of keep in mind. And it contains 4 styles with a family package, with light, regular, bold, and star. It says Puntono is maybe the first dotted script typeface and not made up of grid-based dots. They are optical corrected, and there is always the same distance between the dots with the aim to create more harmonic letter forms. The dots also vary gradually in size to reflect the thickening and thinning of strokes, giving the letter forms a sophisticated overall look. And that's the first one. Then our next one we have is Winco, which is kind of the opposite side of the spectrum rather than kind of being spacey and airy. Winco is very heavy. It is a whimsical font as the bottom of the letters as well as the top of the letters are not always 90 degrees. They can be kind of slanted. This feels more fun. It feels like something that might be a little bit focused on maybe a children's brand or something that is a little bit more whimsical in nature. This comes to us off of Adobe Fonts as well, of course, and this is Ramiro Espinoza from Retype. We've done a little bit about Retype before, but this one has plenty of different options for it, and it says that it samples the hand-lettered book covers by designers like Helmut Salden and Buja Win Letzwart, and draws further inspiration from German and Czech printing types that were influential in the early 20th century. The marriage of those two sources produced letter forms that appear to be both painted by hand and cut in metal. Thanks to its lightly contrasted strokes with flared, angled endings and economical shapes with well-defined corners and curves, the versatile Winco adds characters to body copy and display type in a multitude of applications. And it was created in 2012, so it's been around for about 13 years or so. Let's go ahead and, as with anything else, we will say File New, and we're going to put it in the Winco, which is easily synced straight to my desktop. And very easy to read, pretty fun, pretty good looking, and that is Winco. The retype font is Winco. That's this one right here. Yep, you see now, so that's great. And then our very last one that we have that's going to be up for voting is Pressio, Pressio. It is a kind of maximalist font. It says that it is a study in doing things backwards. First, they began with the weight that usually is drawn last, the ultra compressed black. Then it was squished down vertically in increments to make the compressed, condensed, and regular widths, then hollowed like a dugout canoe to produce the lighter weights. 20 styles in 5 weights and 4 widths provide a broad range of expression, including full width, condensed, compressed, and extra compressed versions. This comes from Max Phillips from the Signal Type Foundry. And you can see here in their page that they even have kind of, this is where they go and they kind of break it down. This one definitely can work, I think, as both a display font and as a body font. But as always, one more time, we're going to write out File New here, and we'll put Pressio into it. I also always wonder with these guys, like, how do you guys feel about the selection of fonts and how they relate to each other? Because obviously Puntino is way different than the other two, but I guess Winco and Pressio are kind of similar. I like their angular cuts for specifically the S here. I think that it adds a lot of fun to it. But I also realize that they could be kind of also condensed in bold and black, kind of like it. But with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll for you guys. And I'm just going to say font of the week. And you guys have to remind me, because last week I forgot to announce the winner by the end. And that's no fun. We could always put it in the Discord, which you guys should join. But I think it should also probably be on the actual stream itself, because that's the whole point, right? All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go throw the poll up onto YouTube. And the YouTube poll is available for everyone. If you're on Behance, you can either hop on and then hop back off. I saw also on the most recent stream that they were saying you could pop out the YouTube chat even if you don't want to watch the actual stream on YouTube. I don't know why you would be so against YouTube in that point. But then you have the voting module there for you in capacity to be able to continue to vote on it. Also, Vandal is in YouTube. Good to see you. Thanks for coming back. Nice to always see you. We just launched a Discord page, Discord server. So if you are looking to hop onto Discord and talk to people about any of the shows that we went over today, I would love to see you there. If you guys have any questions for it. It's also a really good place to be able to get and provide links for me. I know a few of you have been like, where's the best place that we can create links that we can then have featured on the show? That would be a great place to just go ahead and put it in the server in the File New channel of the Discord. But we're going to let that run for a bit. I like to let it run so we can figure it out. I'm seeing 11 you already voted, but I still want to give plenty of time. Bruce Gonzalez is here as well. Thank you, Bruce, for hopping on over to the YouTube page. Good to see you. We also need to meet up again soon. But while that is rolling, we can head over to our next thing, which is going to be resources, I believe. So let's check out resources. So for resources, it can be a bunch of different things. Sometimes it's like literal things you can download. Other times it is things that you can implement into your workflow or like reflect on what you're creating. Today, I wanted to bring up a piece. There's a lot of Reddit today, by the way, because I was kind of turned on to a few different subreddits that have really good conversations. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is great too. This is great too. But on this one, it was actually from, I'm noticing now, Nostalgic Dolphin. And it is 7 optical illusions that every graphic designer should know. Perfect geometry doesn't look perfect. So there's things like the overshoot. And it's kind of shown here about how the circle looks smaller, although it has the same height as the rectangles. To compensate, we make the circle slightly bigger in this example by 5%, and then it looks like everything's the same size. This is something that also really happens a lot with letter forms as well. You can always really focus on your guidelines and your snap to grid, but it always is important to go and take a second look and second understanding of where those things are lining up and how they are perceived by the human eye. You can see here that the triangular shape doesn't need the bottom overshoot, but the top overshoot is bigger than the circle. In this example, we added 4% top overshoot. There's also something where if you are doing a play button, you don't like center the play button because that will make it look like it's off center, even though it is center. There is vertical versus horizontal. It shows you how the horizontal looks thicker, although it has the same thickness as the vertical. To compensate, they make the horizontal thinner, in this example, by around 5%. The diagonal follows the same principle according to the angle, so they brought it down about 2.5%. And there's also an understanding of circular shapes, have this correction too of A to B. There's broken joints or curves. There's the bone effect. I don't know why they're not loading on my page. But they do exist. It might just be my internet for something, but it's a fun and helpful piece. It's only 7 optical illusions, but they're things that you can apply to a bunch of different stuff. And oh, did we crash it? Did file new crash the website? No, here it is. And this just goes to show you and breaks down different things like the bone effect, sharp joints and darkening to see that joints look fine under a 90-degree angle, but clogged and mass heavy if the angle is sharper, and just how you can kind of adjust these and make these small adjustments so that everything feels a little bit more thing. This might feel a little too type A for you. Which is understandable, but I will say that if you are charging big bucks for your design jobs and you want to kind of be able to point at things that really bring it to the next level and really bring a polished aspect to your designs, this is a sort of thing that I think is invaluable to be able to have this as opposed to someone who is maybe newer to the industry or like hasn't done as much research. So it'll make things look really nice and it'll all come together to be a final piece. But once again, this is on the Nostalgic Dolphin. The link and all previous links are also in the raindrop for previous episodes and this episode. Thank you to Wade for being a top-notch mod here and putting on all of the things. How you guys doing on the voting for Font of the Week? It looks like there is a pretty good winner right now, but it's only been up for 5 minutes. I guess we'll do it at like 3:45. So in 5 more minutes, we'll call it. If you guys haven't had a chance to vote over on YouTube, make sure you go. We're just going to continue to go through some resources. And once again, these are the 3 typefaces that we had: Puntino, Winco, and Presio. Then next up on our resources, it's some more Reddit. But this one is less of a giant article as much as it is just a kind of thing to keep in mind. And it says, I had to remind myself again today that I am not a heart surgeon who made a horrible mistake and that my patient could die any minute. No, I'm just a little graphic designer who sent the wrong file to the print shop, and now my company might have to reprint it and pay another $30. No, I will not die because I'm a mistake, and I will not get fired. No one hates me, and I'm a good designer. I just made a little mistake. And they said, I am saving files, but not lives. And that is super important to remember, guys, because it's so easy to make everything feel like it is the most important thing ever. And as designers, you should have attention to detail, obviously, but you're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and that's okay. And just kind of focusing on your well-being and understanding that revisions and mistakes happen on both the account side, the design side, the client side. Everyone's going to make mistakes, and as long as we are more welcoming to both ourselves, we can be also more welcoming to others as well. So that's like resource, but also kind of just like life tip, you know? This is way more of an actual like resource. I found out about sketchplanations this week. I believe it was from waxy.org, maybe is where I found it. But this is the website where there is a bunch of different breakdowns of different design principles. but not only design principles. They have a bunch of different categories, you know. They can have food or business or cognitive bias, physics, techs. Design is by far their most one, but they will take any of these concepts and they make a point to kind of sketch it out to be able to show what it is. So we were talking earlier in this show, actually, even about skeuomorphism, and it's about new design that mimics an earlier one. So like the save file, the call that like looks like a phone, camera, and so they'll give also examples. They'll break down kind of different places they've existed, how it's existed over time. But they always have a really good way of at least having some portion of it be a sketch out of a concept. You know, the blur your eyes test to check communication for structure, to kind of just have in your back pocket to at any point like step back from design and blur it and just see if you can tell what is broken up. That way that, you know, there is clear structure, even if it is in this case the structure of an email, but it also could be a poster or it could be a special editorial design or you name it. It's just really fun. They're very quick to read, like probably 3 to 5 minutes each, and they're constantly adding to it. It's very, very cool. I'd love to talk to them actually on the show at some point. We're going to close the poll in about 3 more minutes, you guys. So make sure you vote on Font of the Week if you have not yet. What do we got here? This is one that's way more of a download. I have not tried this one myself, but I did think it was fun. Look Away is a smart break reminder that helps reduce eye strain, digital fatigue, and maintain better posture so you can end your day feeling fresh and not drained. And basically, it will black out your screen and tell you to either like fix your posture or look away or pause and take a second to reset. This is also kind of following up on the idea of saving files but not lives, being able to focus on your mental health and your well-being as you are designing. One more Reddit one, right, guys? This is coming from the graphic design subreddit. What rule of thumb really helps you become a better designer? And so they just had a bunch of different answers and responses, and I was wondering if you guys had any of your own, because I think this is like a really good and interesting forum to have. And just a good resource to kind of like be able to skim through. The top comment on it is from the all new iPhone, which is funny. It says, work in black and white first, stick to a grid, keep it simple, don't reinvent the wheel. Say yes to products that push you, growth is uncomfortable. Platinum Happy then follows that up with saying that really not enough people are working with a grid. It's infuriating to see them eyeballing margins in spaces, especially when product files are shared and passed down when needed. Someone says use the acronym CRAP, C-R-A-P, which is contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Alien Animal says perfection is the enemy of progress. Sometimes it's done when it's good enough, which I really have to take away a lot of times, because done is better than perfect many, many times. That's kind of what a perv is also saying in Behance right now. It says never sweat over a finished work. Vandal says the more stakeholders, the more revisions. Yes, very true. And I guess we can rerun the wider the margins, the fancier the piece, which is also hilarious because sometimes you open up something and it's just like, whoa, like this is nothing on the page, but it kind of is a flex and moves stuff. All right, so we are at 45 minutes in, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. The winner, the clear winner, actually it's not super clear this time. We had 29%, 47%, and 24%. Winco is the font of the week. Congratulations, Winco. I feel like we should maybe like do something here with the creation and the fact that, let me see, I also have to make sure that I screenshot this and put it in the Discord for everybody, which I will be putting, as you guys know, under File New. I'll go ahead and I will put a little screenshot that we have here for font of the week. Cool. Oh, this is more of a hyperlink. So let's real quick do Rebrand, because we are talking about the concept of, oops, sorry. And I just want to make sure I don't have an alert here. What was I saying? Rebrand. Let's hop into Rebrand real quick, and we can talk about the rebrand this week. I am just going to zoom in here to show some purple dots here, just as a precaution. Rebrand, we are going to try to not show the logos unless I reach out in due time and get permission to do so. We haven't ran into any issues, but we just want to be a little bit safe, you know. But this week I did post a rebrand within the Discord that is getting a lot of attention. It is for Eventbrite, and it has a very interesting approach. If you are able to check out the Discord, you should. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. It is making a blobby E. I guess I could probably also like do some sort of just me here. It's like this blobby E that is repurposed and reused a lot to then fill it with different things that can be different events, from different like Grassy, or like the Statue of Liberty, or a concert. And the thing that I can really attest to it is, I don't know how I feel about the forum itself, but I will say that there's nothing really quite like it. I think that it is something that is its own thing and can be applied to a lot of different stuff. But at the same time, I don't think it feels like it's really much of anything else. And I think it's successful in that regard. It's fun. It can easily kind of be adapted to a lot of different things, because obviously events are something that are very flexible, because it's not only going to be concerts, or it's not only going to be art shows. Penny Doodles is saying, I like the squiggle E. Oliver's saying, I saw the Eventbrite rebrand first on the site and didn't make the connection to in-person events because I only ever bought online event tickets there, which is very funny and interesting, because there's also the idea of like Ticketmaster, which is not Eventbrite, I know, but is another thing that then kind of you have to make the hop, even though it is something virtual. It's virtual for physical. And then Wade is saying it reminds him of the MTV Remix logos. Yes, which I could also agree with. And I would also argue is a very similar demographic, because young people are probably going to a lot of these events and really pushing the events. And the most people at a concert are going to be younger people. So kind of having that youth and that whimsical feel is also going to be its own thing. But yeah, check out the Discord. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And like I said, sorry we can't really show much of it. But we just want to be cautious and respectful of copyright, you know? That said, we can go and we can hop on into Spotlight. Last week, we talked a little bit about Matthew Chakro's new podcast, and there is another new update today with it. And it is a great episode with Tyler Pate that's coming out. I don't know if he has posted it yet or not, but love Tyler Pate. He's been on Adobe Live a lot of times. There's also a Nick Longo episode. And he's really getting it off the ground. He's putting his heart into it. Matt is a really great upcoming designer who works for both. He's worked for Disney in the past, and he's finishing up his education right now. But he's really helping out creatives kind of get out there and understand how he had the successes and connections that he had, and how it can also be reminiscent and replicated by others in their own industries. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. He put a lot of time into it. This is the Eventbrite. It has a really good write-up, by the way, on It's Nice That by Harry Bennett. It says, as part of a comprehensive reimagining of the platform, Buck strategically repositions the brand as the go-to for event going. Another one that I wanted to, another friend of the show, Chris Porter, has been on Adobe Live a handful of times, and he actually had a stream itself about this board game, and it seems like they're really getting into the final sprint of it. It seems like there's about 29 days to go, but Holiday Hills, a delightfully strategic tree decorating game. He also is going to be able to share with us a little bit of some behind the scenes things that are used to create this board game and how that process works out. Something to check out. I love a complicated, very physical board game. Like, these are all different pieces. I cannot imagine playing this in a house with a cat, though, so I don't know if I'll be able to get it. Christmas is a long way out, but I will say it takes a long time to manufacture products and manage them and ship them and get so much. So it'll be interesting to hear kind of what he has to say about that whole experience, and also the Kickstarter experience. But something to check out. It's Holiday Hills. And a big shout out to Chris Porter, because he's a great guy. Also, on It's Nice That, you guys, we look like we're on top of each other. I didn't even mean to do that. On It's Nice That, they did a really cool write-up. They always have this kind of creative career conundrums of like people reaching out and saying like, I need advice on this thing. And it says, You can choose to be intimidated by change or excited by it. The question is, design has changed so much, and I don't even know these new products, these modern tools and workflows I see people using. So I wonder if my experience is still valuable and if I should be opening up to learning new things. I've been working for several years and I find my work is largely templated and same as what I started doing when I was hired. I make lyric videos or other supplemental designs like GIFs and social assets to support clients, but by and large don't do anything original. I know the job market is tough, but this is the experience enough if I want to advance anywhere in my career. And this is responded to by Katie Cadwell, co-founder of branding studio Lucky Dip and the NDA podcast. It says, it does feel like technology is moving at a rate of knots and the industry is running to keep up. Historically, those willing to embrace new tech stay ahead. From the first computer to Flash to web design and now AI, the people using new software aren't instant experts in it. They're just open to adapting the creative practice. It says you can accept to move up without, you can't expect to move up without keeping up. And you can either choose to be intimidated by change or excited by it. And she says a little bit more. I don't want to read the whole thing. I think it's a good 2-minute read if you'd like. Just basically saying, like, you got to find the things that you want to find to be interested in about moving on. And Wade is saying that always depends on the impetus of change. Got to keep up, though. You got to find where it is, where it updates for your own, and like how you can stay attached to it. That's another Reddit one, so we can skip that. That's another Reddit one, so we can skip that. We'll hop into hyperlinks real quick because we only have a few minutes left. And I got cut off last week, so we're going to try not to get cut off this week. This first one is a piece that is on your phone specifically, and it makes it so that it looks like you are looking at something on your phone, which is kind of backwards because, like, if you want something on your phone, like, why not just have something on your phone? But maybe you're like standing across the bar and you just are too overwhelmed with the idea that you are, supposed to be looking at your phone and you're not because you want a distraction and you want to get out of something. And it's just a funny thing. It literally just like tells you, it's not going to pop up on my computer because I have to pull it up on my phone, but it looks a little bit like this. And then it tells you like, tap these buttons. Or like, then it'll be like, swipe right, like look at your phone. And then like, it'll basically just tell you to do different stuff. Yeah. Swipe right, like stare at the box, double tap this. And it's just a funny little website that has you interact with your phone when you don't need to. Another app that's coming up, decrease your screen time, touch grass. This is a way to end brain rot. And basically it locks down your phone until you go out and record a video of you touching grass. And then it asks you if you want to lock out your phone in a day again when this happens, or maybe an hour, to make you touch grass more. Which is very funny. And then this last one, real quick, we got like 30 seconds left, is Snug. It is a fun game that I found that you can play in your browser, and basically all of these objects need to fit into a bag, and they kind of fall with gravity, but also feels like Tetris, and you move them around. Just a fun little mind game. And it's also really fun to look at it from a design sense to say how they're telling stories and what they're talking about with only objects and how they're fitting into stuff. Anyway, guys, join the Discord. Thanks for being here. My name is Ryan Selvy. You can find me on Blue Sky, ryanselvy.com. You can find me on Instagram, just Ryan Selvy. Make sure you stick around and stay tuned because Office Hours is up next with Andrew Hockottle and Nick Longo. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for watching. I'm not going to get cut off. I love you all. Goodbye.